That's interesting. Why would it have? That's an interesting new glitch. Somehow decided that it's. Hello? Hello? Hello. There we go. We're fixed. Hello. We're back. How's it going, everybody? Did you enjoy your daylight savings change? I'm a big fan of daylight savings change. I love a good purposeless, arbitrary, nonsense, bullshit clock change that is known to cause serious problems in the world and give no benefits whatsoever. Love it. I'm a big fan of arbitrary bullshit that results in people dying and shit. Hi, how's it going? Should take meds, but I haven't had food, so I'm not gonna do that. They're just gonna sit over there. I'm experiencing what happens when you stream first thing and last thing of your New Zealand day. Yeah, suck it. I'm not experiencing it when I do it. I love the extra sunshine, just leave it here. Yeah, I don't care which direction they leave it, just fucking leave it. Just pick one and fucking leave it. Stop changing shit. Happy 3:20 a.m. Go to bed, Jennifer. What are you doing? What are you doing? Go to bed. You should be asleep. It's 3:20 a.m. I have no daylight savings. Everyone else seems crazy around us. You're Tasmania? Western Australia doesn't do daylight savings either. It's just fucking stupid. Yeah, Queensland, I see. I don't have enough water. How's everybody doing? What's you up to? What's going on for you today? How's it been? Mm, what you been doing? Tell me your stories. Going to the beach later. Has been a land of tea and biscuits. Cold. It's been chilly here. I've been in England for 2 weeks. It's been somewhere around single digit degrees C the whole time. Eating giant straws for breakfast. Giant straws. Nice. Just got up. I'm about to sit down with a bowl of muesli. Sweet stories, bruh. In bed. Missed the last few months of charisma check because of the time zone bullshit. Day to day D&D. Ooh, D&D. Bit of BTS. Park with the fam. Bacon banana bread. Nice. Morning Ratiba. I'm gonna go help my sister throw my almost 3 and almost 4-year-old nieces a birthday party. Ooh, a big old joint birthday party. Today's my day to do all the things I can't get done with the previous 6 days. For real. Played Pathfinder the first time the other day. Oh, okay. Pathfinder 2E, presumably, second edition, the most recent version of it, Pathfinder. What do you think of it? How did it compare to Dungeons and Dragons? Lucky that I didn't have just t-shirts with me, expecting a Perth summer. Yeah, I had uh, one hoodie and one jumper and some long pants, thankfully. And then if I only had one hoodie and one jumper, why have I got this zip-up hoodie? Where is this really nice, good quality, nice and nice feeling, well embroidered merchandise from? Where's this crazy stuff from? I have no idea. Unlucky yesterday we had bright blue skies all week. Yesterday morning, thick cloud cover. Can't be true. Kept muttering curses until there was a gap in the clouds at exactly the right time and in exactly the right place so that I could watch the partial solar eclipse. Parted the clouds for you. Like, like Bruce Almighty. Just wipe out the clouds. Pissed off in 10 days. So just been generally trying to catch up on house stuff in a very grumbly way. So that everyone knows I'm grumpy about it. Yeah, it's the way to do it. Misery loves company. You gotta grumble and moan and grumble about it, and you get it done reluctantly. Wonder how much longer we're gonna get away with the joint party. I shouldn't think too much longer. 3 and 4-year-olds, they're not exactly known to be particularly good at sharing, right? Second edition was pretty cool. Brain kept trying to think D&D things at first, but caught on after a bit. Nice. I've heard second editions are relatively easy, relative to Pathfinder 1. Most things are easy relative to Pathfinder 1, I guess. So yeah, sneak preview look. There's some merch coming soon to the merch store. Zip up hoodies now. We're getting the zip ups. Very excited. It is very nice. It's a good quality. It's a good quality zip up. I appreciate your reading of the D&D PHB. Really enjoying it. Learning a lot. Love hearing you trying to break it. It's yeah, it's good. I'm enjoying it too. I'm trying to get it finished. We've got Warlock and Wizard to read, and then we'll be done with classes. Once we're done with Warlock and Wizard, we've got to read on a little bit because we've got some more stuff to read. I think the races, the species. That'll be real quick. That'll be a single stream to read all the species easily. Street like the species and the backgrounds will probably all fit into a single stream. And then what else? The core mechanics, the actual like combat rules and stuff to see if anything there has changed. And then that's pretty much it until we get to the feats and spells, which will take a few streams to read probably. Pathfinder 2E is really fun. I really want to give it a go at some point. I want to want to play Pathfinder 2E, get introduced to it, see what mechanics I can steal from it for my own benefit. All right, all right, for a lovely walk around York yesterday. A York walk. My brother lives near a bit of a nature reserve and um a river. So we walked down through his garden and went out to the went across the nature reserve to the river, and then we walked along the river. We got ice creams from a riverboat ice cream van that's basically taken the top off of an ice cream van and put it on a little barge, uh, and then sells ice creams from moored up against the riverbank. It was very lovely, and then we walked from there into York. Um, then we walked along the river into York. We had a walk around York. Went to the Travelling Man, a board game shop. Then we went to a hippie store called Shared Earth, uh, my sister-in-law's favorite shop. Look, just breathed in a whole bunch of incense and looked at some hippy dippy crystals. And then we went to a record store for my brother. So we all got a turn. What did I have? I had a tooth goop of the lick of the day, which was a blueberry and waffle. I think it was blueberry and waffle. And then on top of that, I had Yorkshire rhubarb. So I ended up with a rhubarb and blueberry mix towards the end. It was quite tasty. And I saw York Minster. I walked around York Minster for a bit, and then my sister-in-law is a vet, and she's super animal obsessed, obviously. And she was like, "There's some peregrines nesting on York Minster somewhere. Can we go look for them?" And so we walked around York Minster until we saw a peregrine flying. I think, and zoomed right in on my phone. And she's like, "Is it a pigeon?" I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it was a peregrine. I tried to get some photos. Did you do the railway museum? I heard good things. I did not. No, didn't go to the museum. Rhubarb ice cream was great. Yeah, it was nice. I haven't had rhubarb in a while. I haven't had rhubarb crumble or rhubarb pie or anything in quite some time. Sup, Alran? How's it going? Welcome in. Not the dessert celery. Glad you enjoyed it. You don't like dessert celery? You like the rhubarb? Rhubarb is nice. I like rhubarb crumble. I like most crumble. Peach crumble, peach cobbler, apple crumble, 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 crumble. I haven't had crumble in a while. Crumble. Crumble's a fun word. Crumble. So that was York morning, and then I went to my granddad's house for the last time for a while. I went to say goodbye to him, gave him one of my Private Sanctum Hero Point coins, and put it with his coin collection. Then asked him more stories, talked to him a little bit about what did we talk about yesterday? I'm blanking on it at the moment. What did we talk about yesterday? Talked about, I asked him about my childhood. I was like, do you remember what I was like as a kid? He's like, yeah, you always used to be climbing on stuff. He says, yeah, he goes, yeah, I'd take you places and you'd be like, you'd be scromming and then like someone would open a door and before we knew it, you'd be through the door. You'd be running off. You'd be saying, no, stop running off. You always like to explore. Um, and talked about me exploring on like trains. He goes, you would get onto a footplate. The footplate of a train is like a steam engine is like the place where the driver actually shovels coal into the engine, like the actual like right at the front engine part. I'd be getting in there apparently, um, because you'd be scromming and climbing all over stuff when we take you to museums and things like railway museums. You'd be up and down on the trains and climbing up the chimneys and stuff. Did he like the coin? He did. He took it and was like, "Oh, it's heavy, isn't it?" Says, "Yeah, I wanted it something with a bit of heft, something with a bit of durability." Um, was a runner, more of a clinger. Yeah, I was apparently a bit of a an explorer. Of like, I wanted to see more stuff, and oh, what's over here? I was a climber. I was definitely a climber. Loved to climb up on stuff, climb trees, climb walls, climb up onto roofs. The other day I was at my mum's place and I was looking out onto my back garden where I grew up essentially. Uh, and it's like surrounded on three sides by brick mill walls. And I was looking at it going, I think I've climbed up there. Like I've got vague memories that I've made it onto those roofs before. And and I'd forgotten that. I was like, oh yeah, I used to climb up onto the roofs of buildings and stuff. I like to be up high, I guess. Um, talked about what else did we talk about? There was I can't remember what we went on to from there. His time in Germany, or was that the other day? That must have been the other day. His time at the Yorkshire Board. Oh, I think we went back to talking about hiking. Oh, that was it. We talked about all of the talked about all the crazy shit that he's done since turning 80. We talked about doing a bungee jump and a skydive and paragliding, hang gliding, indoor skydiving, whitewater rafting, any other adrenaline based things. I can't remember. Going down a ski slope on a plastic bag. Used to have black bin liners that I'd keep in my car. So when it was when it snowed, we always had something to slide on, like a toboggan, like. Couldn't climb for the life of me. Glad you got this opportunity. My dad's gone by the time I was 5. Mum's dad had Alzheimer's. Yeah, that sucks. Oh. Still a climber. Son definitely takes after me. Nice. Downside of being a military child, don't have those kinds of home memories. Yeah, that sucks. Winter ghost. Have they banished you to the laundry room? Yeah, basically. And it was a rushed trip, but you're glad to get you spend time with him. Yeah, me too. Me too as well. A tray inside the bag for stability. Matt, get a dinner tray and plastic bag. Slide down the hill on it. Anyway, so yeah, we talked about that stuff. It was a fun visit yesterday. And then I said my goodbyes in case it was the last time I saw him. I made sure that he knows how much he means. Um, he was quite the patriarch of the family. I've always had mad respect for him. Always looked up to him a lot. My dad's dead, and um, he was very clearly grateful that we'd spent that time with him. Like he's not an emotional person. He grew up in the or born in the Victorian period, sort of stiff upper lip, don't show love and affection kind of a person, unfortunately. Product of his time. But he was very clearly like, I'm glad to know you're doing well, lad. I'm glad to know you're doing well, uh, and it'll help me settle. It helps me settle to know that you're settled and stuff. Um, and he made a point of saying to my dad and I, like, I don't want you put out by this trip. So tell me how much it cost you, and I'll give you that money because he's got money in the bank. He's just not doing anything with because retired and has a pension and doesn't have anything to do with his money anymore. Um, so yeah, it meant a lot to him to know that I'm successful and doing something that I really love. I told him the other day I was spending some time with a friend. I was playing It Takes Two with Dread. Um, and something about money came up and like universal income or something, and Dread said like, what would you do if money wasn't a thing? Like if everybody just had enough money, if we lived in like a Star Trek post scarcity world and people could just be free to do what they want and not follow the rat race or follow the need of making money. And I was like, I'm doing it. Like, I wouldn't be getting up at fucking 8 o'clock in the morning when I've only gone to sleep at 2 or something. Well, 3 after the fucking time change bullshit, I suppose. I'd be getting more than 5 hours sleep every night, that's for sure. But otherwise, I'm doing exactly what I'd be doing. I'm focusing on really interesting things that I'm excited and passionate for that people seem to enjoy. Telling stories, playing games. So I told my granddad that. I says, "Hey, I'm doing exactly what I'd be doing, exactly what I'd be doing even if I wasn't getting paid for it. Like this is a lot of fun, and I'm very successful at it, and decent money doing it." So he was very pleased pleased to hear that. Matriarchs only in your life, Adrian. Your grandparents, granddads died before you were born, eh? Mum's dad died not long after I was born, and my dad's dad wasn't around. Well, that sucks. Sucks to hear. I was very lucky with my grandparents. I had all four of them when I was born, and two of my great grandparents too. I found uh, Adam, my brother, found uh, a 4-page sheet of paper that had my granddad's side of the family tree printed on it. Not sure exactly where he got it or when or how. But I have a family tree that spreads like it's like a big spreads out to the sides like that and takes up four pages like that. Let's see, where am I? Let's zoom in. Is this one me? I think that's me, is it? Mm-mm-mm. Come on. Come on. Oh, come on. There you go. I love that wherever this got the information from, it's not correct. It's Robert Hartley with 17th of April, which is not my birthday, and born in Heckman, which is not where I was born. So, so all of the information on this family tree is to be taken with a grain of salt. But it's got my dad, it's got his dad, it's got his dad, it's got his dad, and it's got his dad, and then and then my brother's written on there. Um, above that is his dad. So if this is to be believed, then I've my dad's John, his dad's Roy, his dad is Werner, his dad is Frederick, and his dad is Henry, and his dad is William. And many generations takes us back to about 1820s. We've got that Henry was born in 1850, and that William was just before that. So it'll probably be about mid 20s, 1825-ish. So about 200 years ago. And that's if you include my brother's kids on the end of that, then that would be 8 generations. It's pretty cool. It's this is how I tell that I'm not the real Robert. I'm the doppelganger. Spent lots of time with my nan and gran. Used to get shipped off for summer holidays to one of them. I'd say we were never super involved. Didn't like coming down here because it was too cold. Mum's dad died when she was 3. Grandma and it's, it was like she'd never had kids. Yeah, my gran never had kids. Love tea because that's what she used to give us. Tea like eluting juice topped up with milk. Ew, that's nasty. Maternal granddad died when I was 4. Very kind and loving man, despite or probably due to being raised in a dark time in Germany. Luckily, grandmother's still alive. That's good. If my grandma, because mother had no interest in me, that's a shame. The nan and gran stories, yeah. At least you got those. That's good. Got a family tree with my grandmother when she was young. Ended up hanging up with both family crests from the mother's side of the family. Nice. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. So the fun thing about having this family tree printout is that my dad had 3 sons. He had one brother who had no kids. His dad, my granddad Roy, he had only sisters. Uh, and so from my granddad's generation down, there's no other Hartleys. But if you go back up to Werner, my great granddad, he had an older brother. Uh, he had an older brother, uh, Headley. How cool is the name Headley? Headley Hartley. Headley Hartley had 3 daughters, so no other Hartleys on his side. And we thought for a while, we were like, are we the only Hartleys for like 5, 6 generations back? But then we found this particular beat and continued on down past Werner. And Werner had a younger brother, Maurice, and Maurice Hartley had Keith. Keith Hartley had uh, Neil and Andrew. Neil, it doesn't say on here, had any kids, but again, grain of salt. Uh, and Andrew had Jacob and Natalie and William. They're slightly younger than me. They were born in the 90s. So they might have kids or whatever. So Jacob and William, I do. There are other Hartleys in existence still. And then Werner also had younger sister Elizabeth and a younger brother Walter. Walter Hartley. And Walter had Dennis Hartley, who had Nigel and Stephen in the 60s. So they might have had kids as well, but it doesn't say so on here. Then we've got Brian, Brian Hartley, born in the 50s. It doesn't say on here that he had any kids though. So there are a couple other Hartleys of this generation. If you go all the way back up to a shared great grandparent. So a shared great grandparent makes us a shared grandparent makes you cousin, first cousins, shared great grandparents, second cousins. So apparently I've got some second cousins. Or is that third cousins? Should be second cousins, right? Oh yeah, because we don't share a great grandparent. It was shared great great grandparent because that was Furness brothers, so they share a parent. So zeroth cousins are siblings because they share a parent. And if you are first cousins, you share a grandparent. If you're second cousins, you share a great grandparent. And if you're third cousins, you share a great great grandparent. So I have some third cousins who are Hartleys, who are both descended. Me and them would be both descended from Frederick Hartley, born in 1874, died in 1954. Nan was one of nine. Jeez. On my grand's side, my dad's mum's side, uh, my dad's mum only had one sister, Beryl. Um, but they were the two children uh, of a father who was one of 12, I think, and a mother who was one of 11, or vice versa. Between, yeah, between, so basically my gran and my aunt Beryl had 21 aunts and uncles, 21 biological aunts and uncles. The family tree dies with me. I mean, my particular branch, my family tree doesn't die with me, but my branch does. My branch has been pruned. My mother's one of seven. I'm one of one. Your mother went too many siblings. I'm not going to do that to her. To them. Um, I love studying our family tree. My dad spent years putting it all together and researching it. Nice. I did a little bit of genealogy stuff when I was younger. I learned a decent chunk about my family and the extended family. My mum's cousin did a big family tree, did a lot of genealogy family tree work. So I know a lot more about my mum's side of the family because I kind of just combined my work with her family tree. Family tree lines all the way back to two of Henry VIII's wives on my mum's dad's side. Holy shit. That's cool. That's really cool. Which two? Both my parents are one of 11. Holy shit, Maz. You've got so many so many uncles and aunts. You'd have a lot of cousins, I imagine then. I'd have a lot of cousins. As I say, my dad only had one sibling and he didn't have kids. So I don't have any cousins on my dad's side, but I've got one, two, three, four, five on my mum's side. And that's it. Gran was also one of 12. Three of them died while a child. Yeah. Am I late for the daylight savings rant? Why would I rant about that? Makes perfect sense. The branch is pruned and I'm now in the closet again. It's technically both true. Cat is my legacy. Fair enough. I'd be interested if it outlives you. That's usually how cats work, but of genealogy, wondering why some emigrated when they did and such. The funny thing is, on this particular family tree printout that we've got, most of them say a location that you were born and died, perhaps. So it says, like, for me, it said born in Heckman, which was not true, but definitely not far off. It's a neighbouring suburb. Um, and then some of them are like in Nottingham and in Sheffield and in Bowsheaf and whatever the hell, Scunthorpe and all this other stuff, right? And the majority, like there's some like real weird outliers. So one of them, I think, was born in. I think it says it wasn't Dubai, was it? It was somewhere. One of the ones of the modern generation is was born somewhere in the Middle East, if I remember rightly. Uh, but the funny thing is, like, if you look back over from my granddad's generation backwards, they're all just basically the exact same suburbs and the same like small areas of basically South Yorkshire slash Derbyshire. My entire family on my dad's side, as far as we can tell, just like they're all from South Yorkshire and Derbyshire. I've heard somebody say before that like if you go back far enough, uh, we're from further south of England, but the records that I've seen anyway have just been Yorkshire all the way through. Yorkshire and Derbyshire all the way through. Northerners. Northern. The Hartley folk. I think it's my mum's side that come from further south. I have 56 first cousins. Holy shit. 56 cousins. That's insane. I imagine you don't know them all, right? You don't know all their names. You've probably not met some of them. I imagine they've got kids that you don't know. It certainly would be the case with me. I'd be like, I don't know all my first cousins' kids. My family has a lot of unwritten history that my parents, aunts, grandparents remember and pass on. I'm writing it all down because there's no way I'm remembering all of it. That's fair. Catherine Howard and Jane Seymour, who were cousins. Hmm, that's cool. That's really cool. As like direct, I was going to say ascendants, ancestors. Direct ancestors of yours, Catherine Howard and Jane Seymour. My mum's, no, my museum that was brought over to Australia by a something times great uncle in like 1912 or something. Found out the name and I was like, and I called my dad. That's really cool. Working at a museum where you. I was talking to Adam about it yesterday. I was like, isn't it funny to think that like we could have some sort of direct line to something historical and we don't know it? Because it blows my mind sometimes when I remember that at every point of history, not just human history, not just recorded history, but at every point of Earth's history, way back to the very first microbial life on Earth, in an unbroken way, there has always existed some kind of life form on Earth to which I am directly descended, from which I am directly descended. So you could name any point of history. You could be like, oh, the first time that fire was created, there was some kind of Homo sapien alive discovering fire, and there was some other Homo sapien-ish, well, Homo erectus thing alive at that time that was a direct descendant, ancestor of mine. The turn of the Gregorian calendar, like the creation of the Gregorian calendar, I had some human alive was a direct ancestor of mine, probably multiple. Um, the time that the fucking the Egyptian pyramids were being built, like I had ancestors alive. They were likely peasants working the field in Yorkshire or something. Sometimes just it's like it's an obvious fact if you think about it, but it's still just kind of like blows your mind to be like, oh shit, yeah. When dinosaurs were roaming the land, like when the meteor struck that wiped out most of the non-avian dinosaurs, all of the non-avians, there was a creature alive. There was some mammal creature or pre-mammal or whatever they were that had babies, that had babies, that had babies, that had babies, all the way down till they had my grandparents and they had me. Like that, they had my dad and they had me. It's great. Like it's crazy to think that like, oh yeah, there is a creature alive way back then that if they had died, I would not survive. Sup, did Jeff, the man's mechanic, did you Jeff? And I'm emigrated from Ireland. My surname's Irish. Potato famine exodus. Not to be cliche. 1914, I was close. Google the car. Yes. 1914, 2 years after the Titanic sank, 1 year before World War One was declared. No, the same year World War One was declared. 1914 to 18. Yeah. Did I start early? No, I started on time. You may have misattributed daylight savings clocks changing. It used to be for my mum's side. That's only got together for weddings and funerals. Several great grandparents that came over from Ireland. William Bradford from the Mayflowers, a direct ancestor of mine. I don't know who William Bradford is, but I do know what the Mayflower is, so for context, that's cool. The Osborns that the car over from France came from old money. My 5 times great grandmother, I think, was disinherited for marrying the wrong Christian denomination. I supposedly have an ancestor that married a pirate. Oh, that's cool. They were proper mammals at that stage. My wife has cool lineage related to the President Fillmore and the Studebakers, the Studebakers, the Studebakers. Rat-like mammals. Rodent. Rodent before they had rodentia. Every family tree should start with some slimy green stuff. Essentially, yeah. Some slimy single-celled organisms. Great grandparents' names are on one of the plaques at Ellis Island. They came from Poland during World War One. Damn. This did highlight to me though, this family tree. It's highlighted to me that like if all of the generations, on average, there's like 25 to 30 years between each generation here. Because it says that Henry Hartley was born 1850 and Frederick Hartley was born 1874, so there's 20 years there. And then between Frederick and Werner, there's 30 years. And between Werner and Roy, there's 24 again. And between Roy and my dad, there's what, like 30-ish, 28 or so. And then between my dad and me, there's another 33 or something. So it's like between 24 and 33 for each generation. And my brother's about to turn 40 and his kid's about to turn 10. So yeah, there's 30 years there as well. And it goes, and I think like, oh shit, in order for me to trace my family back to like the Tudors, fucking Henry VIII, that's a lot of genealogy work. Like that's a lot of work. That's a lot of generations. You're gonna get three, maybe four generations every century. If you're going back like 6 centuries or something, there's so many generations in there. But at the same time, if you look at it from a different perspective, you go, oh, if I want to trace my lineage back to whoever my direct ancestors were when I was, during the Roman period, and you're like, oh, that's only 20 some generations or whatever. It's like it doesn't actually have to be as many generations as you might think otherwise. Wish we just had like some like all some way of just like asking some kind of all-knowing computer, just for interesting facts. Be like, what's this cool thing? Tell me something cool about my. I wonder how many times and what is the closest that my line got to just being wiped out. Because we're talking about life forms over 3 billion years. 3 billion years of life forms reproducing successfully before dying. Isn't that crazy to think about? Like all of the ways that every life form on Earth can die and does every day. And there is an unbroken line for 3 billion years where every one of our ancestors managed to make it to sexual maturity. I suppose before sexual reproduction, just they managed to make it to asexual maturity. I don't know. Whatever it takes for a whatever it takes for a creature to uh, undergo mitosis. 1814 is also 2 years before my maternal grandmother was born. She had my mum late. Damn, that is late. William Bradford was the governor of the Mayflower. Because I'm related to Cat Howard makes me related to the current King Charles. So if every single other member of the line disappears, let me know. I saw that random thought recently. It keeps me a bit of a daze. If you die without ever having a child, you're the first of your line ever since the most ancient of times to break the chain. There is a direct line that goes from the first living organisms on Earth to me, and then because I've had a vasectomy, it ends with me. That makes me feel pretty special. I'm the apex of this particular line. Unbroken line of 3 point something billion years, and I chose to end it. I'm like, yeah, end that. Tear of the next Queen of England. All we need to do is make sure to orchestrate somehow that King Charles disappears and Prince William disappears and his kids disappear and Harry disappears and all of his kids disappear. And then Andrew disappears and all of his kids disappear. And then we've probably got a little bit of work cut out for us, but I think we can get there, Tara. I wonder how many that would be like it's questions like this that I'd just be like impossible to possibly know the answer, but I'd love it if we had just some sort of omnipotent, omniscient supercomputer that we could just ask stupid questions like this. Like, how many people would have to disappear at once for me to be the King of England? Like, how many people? How many times removed am I as the heir of the throne of England? How many hundreds of thousands or something? Like I'm from England. My whole family's from England. Like surely I have a I can probably tie myself to the throne somehow. He, and one question you've probably been asked 1,000 times in the episode of Twitch Tales where you took the dice about whether Apis remembers the Fey Wild. Were you disappointed? Uh, where I took the dice about whether Apis remembers the Fey Wild. Was I disappointed are we talking about before the Feywild arc when you stepped through the portal and didn't remember it, and then I just jumped straight to you stepping back through the portal again? Are we talking about that moment? And was I disappointed to get the opportunity to fuck with you and jump through the portal and have you not remember everything? I was absolutely not disappointed. That was the outcome I wanted. I was like, hell yeah! You don't get to do this with a group of you don't get to do this with a group of players, like actual D&D players, that like a team of 4 or 5 or 6 people, because the chances that every single one of them fails their wisdom save to remember the Feywild when they step back through again, pretty minimal. But with a solo campaign, getting the opportunity to be like, the Feywild says you might not remember it when you come back, so what would that actually look like from a player's perspective? And I'll not give you any meta knowledge of it and just have you jump straight to coming back again. And suddenly you're wearing different clothes and stuff. That was a cool opportunity for storytelling. 15 generations to get me back to Henry's wives, not Henry himself, though. 15 generations. That's not as many as you'd think, is it? When was Henry VIII alive? I should know that as a British guy who did Kings of England history. He must have been way more recent than I thought he was. Wasn't Henry VIII around the 1600s? Because, like, how many generations is this back from me? Six? One, two, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 6 generations back from me gets me to the early 1800s. So 7 would get me to around 1800. 8, 9, 10, 11 would get me back to 1700. 15 should get me back to about 1600. Yeah, yeah, I guess it is only 15. Jesus. This is what I'm talking about. It doesn't take as many generations as you might think. That 15 generations back would get me to about 1600. Holy shit, that's Shakespeare's time. 15 generations back from me, and I had some ancestors alive during William Shakespeare's stuff. That's cool, man. That's really cool. To think that at the time that Shakespeare was putting on plays at the Globe, I had some peasant serfs in Yorkshire, probably, maybe Derbyshire or somewhere around there, that would have kids, that would have kids, that would have kids, that would have kids, all the way down to me. Which that's probably already done. So what you're saying is that you should thank your mum for continuing the unbroken line. That's maybe a random thing to text her on Mother's Day. Oh, it's Mother's Day today, isn't it? I think Vandrew was said to be monarch. The monarchy would fall. I think it might well. It might finally be the linchpin of it. Linchpin. Yeah, nail in the coffin. Get right on it. You're gonna make Mother's Day greeting cards that's like, hey, you continued an unbroken line of life from the origins of life on Earth all the way to now. Good job. You have older brothers. What's your point? I've forgotten what we were talking about. Odds of me becoming the king are probably better than winning the lottery. Oh, the people that would have to disappear for me to become king. My older brothers are on that list. Yes, as is my as are all three of my nibblings. Both my brothers and my three nibblings would have to disappear for me to become king. Hotels and a million shreds of paper. We what they changed the laws regarding um whatever the fuck it's called, inheriting the throne. Um, so that it's not just the men that inherit the throne, it's the women too, and not only as a last resort, but like just in chronological order. But they didn't date it, right? They didn't say like, oh well, we're gonna retroactively do this. So at the time that they at the time like let's say right before they introduced that new law, there would have been a lot fewer people that would have to disappear to get to me because you would trace it back till there was a man in the family, and then you trace down from his generations through the firstborn men, and then you every time you reach an end, you have to go back up and go to the second-born men and go back down. And then every time that happens, you go back up and third-born man until you run out of those, and then you go back up to the next generation, go to the firstborn man, and you'd ignore all of the women on the way. You'd go all the way back up to find the men and go down the men, right? And then only when you run out of men do you then go back down to the end of the tree and go down the line of women, I think. Not sure exactly how it works. But when they brought changed, the changed law in so that women can inherit the throne above a man, it's only applied after that. I don't know. I don't know. I am not in charge of deciding who's king. Might surprise you. That was not news to all this. Exclusive. As an exclusive charisma check, you've learned that Robert is not in charge of deciding who becomes king. It's like it was a massive build-up. Rolled Apis forgets you wanted him to. Players would think at first that the memories were gone for good. Uh, yes, yes, that was the outcome I was hoping for. It's about 4 to 5 generations on a century on average. Yeah, I wonder if that's increasing. I think these days more people are having kids in their 30s, aren't they, rather than like 20. I'm Henry the Eighth. I am Henry the Eighth. I am. Henry Tudor, 1457 to 1509. Regent from 1485 to 1509. 1485, 1509. 1485. 1509. 1509, Henry VIII died. 1509. So about 100 years before Shakespeare. Henry VIII. Henry. Henry. Be the equivalent of Shakespeare was doing his thing. Be the equivalent of like someone, a king that died. So George. So he had the same connection to like George the Fourth. Okay. Let's go to the Let's go to the sons of the women in the line. Yeah. Right of primogeniture is what passes. Yeah, that's the one. Primogeniture passes the rule to the eldest child, traditionally male, but that's what they changed recently. That is no longer that. Yeah, it's no longer that. Gender first. It's first priority is now birth order, right? So if we go with King Charles is currently in. If King Charles disappeared, it would go to William because he's his eldest son. If William died, it would go to William's kids, right? Or would it not go to William's kids because they're not 18 yet? Because if it was back in like Henry VIII's time, right, when he died, it went to Edward, and Edward was only like 11 or something at the time. Trying to remember my English history classes. When Henry VIII died, it went to Edward, who was not old enough to rule, but he had like a chaperone sort of a role, like some advisor that was technically like not the king, but he was in the role of king while he was waiting for Edward to become old enough. Um, and then Edward was a sickly kid and didn't make it to adulthood, and so then they were like, I guess we'll give it to his older sister, Mary, Queen of Scots, I think, Bloody Mary, because there's something about her and her older sister. She like locked one of them locked the other one in a tower so that she couldn't become queen or some shit. Fully remember. Regent. He's a he was the king regent or something, meaning he's due to become king but isn't king or something. Is that what that meant? Should have paid more attention in history class. So if Charles died, it would go to William. If William died, it would go to George. Is George his kid? I really don't give a shit about the monarchy. Who's Prince William's kids? Prince William's kids. Has he got two of them? Prince William's kids. William and Kate have three. Prince George, Charlotte, and Louis. And the change happened. The rule change happened before Charlotte was born, didn't it? So now, so they didn't backdate it, but they did change it before Charlotte. So that means that George is the third in line to the throne. Charlotte would be the fourth in line to the throne, and Louis would be the fifth in line to the throne. I think. I think the regent is the person who subs in. Ah, yeah, gotcha. Right. My mind is in history, and I have no idea. William. So it would go William, George, Charlotte, Louis. If all of those disappeared, it would go to Harry. If Harry disappeared, it would go to Archie, who's Harry's kid, right? The fuck is the next one? Lilibet? Is that one of Harry's kids? I don't keep up with this stuff. I don't give a shit. I don't know these people. Prince Harry's kids. Archie and Lilibet. Lilibet? What the fuck? Archie and Lilibet. And then Andrew. Prince Andrew. So Harry's had two kids. Prince Andrew. Like, is there a limit on the regent situation? Like, if a king had a baby that was like a newborn baby, and the king was killed as the newborn baby is born, is the newborn baby king? and they just have a regent for like 18 years. Also, what about before that? Like if a king is killed when the wife goes into labor, when the queen goes into labor, but before the baby's technically born, what happens then? Is the baby not a king because he's not born yet? When does when does life begin at conception for kings, or does life begin at birth for kings? How does that happen? Who's got David Mitchell's number? He knows this shit. That's why Charlotte's allowed to walk in front of William. Okay. Lilibet was Queen Elizabeth II's family nickname. Elizabeth. Lilibet. Her name is whatever he wants, really. Yeah, he's never going to become king. As far as I know, the baby would be king. Like a newborn, like a couple of minutes old baby would be now. We've now got the youngest king in all history. Being a king these days is pretty decadent. It certainly is, yeah. The newborn is the king, but the mother or whoever they appoint is the regent. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. The king's mother. Mm-mm-mm. According to C.S. Lewis, it's when they're born. Usually it'd be somebody who also served as regent of the previous king if he was ever indisposed. Oh, okay. Would so a king get so king knocks up his queen. It is announced that the queen is pregnant, but she's only like 5 months pregnant when the king dies. The king has no other heirs. Does the king's younger brother become king for the next like 4 months, and then his baby's born, and then he is no longer king? Does the king become? Does the would it be like we don't have a king for 4 months? We just have a like we just have a regent or something for 4 months, and then the baby's born and becomes king. Would we have a negative 4-month-old king? The brother would likely become regent. This is where you get the stories of like the brother would like knock off the sister-in-law though, right? Because they'd be like, look, if I kill you before you have the baby, I'm king. Prince Andrew and Fergie share two daughters together, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie. So Beatrice would then become queen if Andrew disappeared and Beatrice's kid, Princess Beatrice. Also, how far removed do you have to be before you're no longer a princess? Like, because well, what was the second one? Did it just say Princess Eugenie or something? Princess Eugenie. Right, Princess Eugenie's kids, the young Princess Eugenie's youngest kids, let's say, and if they have them, their youngest kids. We were already before we even got to Beatrice, we were already however many lines into it. Like, how far removed are they? They're very far removed, essentially, from the 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 chance that they would ever become the sitting monarch. Princess Beatrice's kids. Princess Beatrice, who married Eduardo Mappeli Mozzi, had two daughters, Sienna and Athena. Athena's cool. So if Beatrice disappeared, Eugenie wouldn't get it because so Beatrice says it would go to Sienna. Is Sienna a kid? Is Sienna a princess? Or are they not princesses because their parent was no? Because Prince Andrew was never the king, so so if it was that, his kids shouldn't be princesses. Would have a negative aged king or queen. That's pretty cool. Because the mortality rate babies being actually born alive is important. Back then they wouldn't know the gender if it turned out to be a girl. Yeah, true. True, true. But we're talking about now, not back then. Completely off topic. Can someone explain today's wanted sign? Oh, yeah, I changed it since yesterday's stream. I've no idea where it came from. Whether you're or not you're a prince or princess has its own rules. I bet it does. Henry the Seventh, no, Sixth. Henry the Sixth was crowned at 9 months old. Alfonso the 13th of Spain was crowned at birth, and Shapur the Second was crowned King of Persia before he was born. That's cool. So there has been a negative king. Doesn't pass down as far as I know. The Queen okayed Beatrice being called princess. Okay. So Beatrice and Eugenie shouldn't have been princesses because Andrew was never king. But the Queen is like, it's okay. Kind of like my granddad adopting my cousins. As I say, I don't have any cousins on my dad's side, so my granddad only had grandkids on his uh, youngest son, my dad, on his side. Me and my two brothers, my granddad's only grandkids. But one day, my cousins on my mum's side were over at my grandparents' house, and I think they were complaining or jealous that I had two sets of grandparents and they only had one set of grandparents because there's quite an age gap between my mum's sister and her husband. Uh, he's a lot older, and so his parents had already died before my cousins were born, and they were like, "We don't get grandparents on my dad's side." And I was like, "You can have mine." And we walked through it. That was one of the stories that I got recently. He said, "Yeah, you were over and you're playing, and then you came into the kitchen and you said, Grandad, will you be Ashley and Holly's grandparents too?" And I said, "If they want me." And so he was like an adopted grandparent to mum's my mum's nibblings. Like, yeah, you can have it. You can have the term princess. Why not? Negative king sounds like a BBG. Yeah, like a king that's from the negative plane of existence. King or queens, the head of the monarchy. Prince, princess is the children and some other close relatives of the king, queen. Harry's kids aren't prince or princess either. So Harry's kids aren't prince, princess because they are descended from a prince rather than descended from a king. It's weird then that Harry's kids aren't prince and princess, even though they are closer in line to the throne than like Prince Andrew and Beatrice and stuff. Then the lines of the run start to die. Prince, princess titles been changed. Oh, they become the prince, princess. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Like if we got a King Andrew, can you imagine? Fucking pedo in charge. I'm sure that'd be the first time. Um, if Prince Andrew became King Andrew because everybody else disappeared, then Princess Beatrice would be genuine princess, and then all her kids would also then become princesses. Past my bedtime. Good night, Jake. My husband has over 500 second cousins. What the actual fuck? That's insane. Negative kings would eat negative pigs, yeah. And who is the queen's favourite child? According to weird rules and nods from the monarch. Yeah. Athena's a cool name. Sienna Elizabeth Mapley Mossy and Athena Elizabeth Rose Mapley Mossy. Does Sienna have kids? Princess Beatrice. How old would they be? Princess Beatrice. Uh, Sienna. How old is Sienna? Sienna. Oh, she's a little girl by the looks of it. Sienna's still a little girl. So that's where that ends. So Beatrice, Sienna, Athena. And then if they disappeared, so what are we up to? Charles, William, his three. Harry, his two. Andrew, Beatrice, her two. Eugenie. 13 in line from the throne would be Eugenie. Eugenics. Eugenie. Oh, Eugenie's my age. Princess Eugenie. Kids? Question mark. Eugenie has two sons. So if Eugenie disappeared, it would go August Philip Hawke Brooksbank. That's cool. Um, I just got an alarm for solar eclipse. Thanks, phone. Let me turn that off. Don't need those anymore. August Philip Hawke Brooksbank, born February 2020, so he doesn't have any kids yet. And then Ernest George Ronnie Brooksbank, born May 2023. It's a fun one, isn't it? Like that would be a good quiz or something to be like, uh, who is Ernest George Ronnie Brooksbank? He is the 15th in line for the throne of England, which doesn't seem like all that much. Like 15 is a relatively small number. It does mean there's 14 people have to disappear. 15 because the current monarch wasn't counted. 15th in line for the throne. So 15 people have to die or disappear before you would become king, but he would technically become king. Ernest George Ronnie Brooksbank. And then who's after that? Uh, Andrew has younger siblings. Queen's kids. Queen's children. Charles, Anne, that's it. So it would go to Andrew. Is Edward? Would it go to Edward then? I think it would go to Edward, right? Rather than Andrew. We're doing royalty maths. Edward and Anne were given the option too, but chose not to take Prince and Princess for their children. That's cool. Thought it was well known that Andrew was the favourite. Oh, I've never heard that. His great grandmas on both sides have over 13 children. Wow. Anne should have got the monarchy. She's the best one. What makes her the best one? I don't really know anything about it. The royal family. Saw Anne when my husband was in the Royal Signals at a parade. She was there for ages talking to the soldiers and families. Definitely believe she's the hardest working. Nice. Queen and Prince Philip had two children before Her Majesty succeeded to the throne, Charles and Princess Anne, and two further children, Andrew and Edward. So even though Anne's older, she came in before the rule was changed, so it would still abide by the rule at that point and go to Edward after that. All right, so then Edward would be 16th. We're going to keep going with this because I'm interested now. Edward, Duke of Edinburgh. Like, this guy could sit next to me on a bus. I wouldn't have a clue who the fuck it was. He's 61 years old. Prince Edward, Duke of Edinburgh. Children. Prince Edward children. Given the title of Earl of Wessex prior to marrying Sophie Rhys-Jones. They have two children. Lady Louise Mountbatten Windsor and James Mountbatten Windsor, Earl of Wessex. So who would get it out of them two was Louise. So Louise was born first, by the looks of it. She was born in 2003. When did they change the rules? Would Louise get it, or would her younger brother get it? Henry VIII actually left different instructions on who he wanted to succeed him, and had they followed that line, it would have been a random lady who lives in the Midlands. I think I knew that. I think it was like a Who Am I genealogy program or something that did that and found out, like followed it down to who it should be. He's known as the hardest working royal, super charity focused, doesn't use his status to get out of trouble, speed demon. That's funny. The Earl would get it first and then Louise. Did the rule come in after these guys were born? Okay, so James Earl of Wessex, he would be we're up to so we said Prince Edward was 16, right? Prince Edward was 16. James Earl of Wessex would be 17. He is actually 17 years old as well. Born in December 2007. The 17th. He's the youngest nephew of King Charles III. Who's your uncle? King Charles. 17th in line for the throne. And then he doesn't have any kids, so it would go to his older sister, Lady Louise Windsor, who's 21 years old, and she's 18th in line for the throne. Does she have any kids? Doubt it at 21. Oh, it says I must have done my maths wrong at somewhere. I must have missed one somehow, because Wikipedia says she's currently 17th in line below her younger brother James. Let me go on to James's. He says he is currently 16th in line. I thought I kept note of that. Do I trust that Wikipedia has been updated since the birth of whoever the youngest is above them? Alright, so that is who was that was? That was all through the line of Prince Edward. So Prince Edward only had two kids, and neither of them have kids yet, so we're only up to 17 or 18. And then finally, if all of those disappeared, now we'd get to Princess Anne, right? Princess Anne. Did she have kids, and how many and such? Princess Anne won the BBC Sports Personality of the Year award in 1971. The Princess Royal has two children, Peter from 1977 and Zara Phillips, on the 15th of May 1981. It's just about bragging rights now. Yeah, yeah, you're this far removed. You're like, I'm never going. There's not a chance in the world that all of these people die all at once. I mean, they get like a family get together, a big sort of royal family reunion, and then something happens at that family reunion. It's not impossible. My wife and son have met Sophie, Duchess of Wessex. He was too young to remember. She visited the premature baby unit he was in. Ah. So, Mark, Peter Mark Phillips would be next. Princess, British manager, and Princess Royal's son. Let me see what it says in Wikipedia. It says Peter Phillips is the 19th in line to the throne. I will trust that I must have made the mistake, and I'll trust that Wikipedia says it. And a website that says it has a succession calculator to find out where you are in line, but it seems defunct. Yeah, fair enough. It would have to have extensive records to know that. Or maybe it just uses like calculations and probabilities and average generations and average children per generation and shit like that. At the time of his birth, he was fifth in line. He is now 19th in line. It must be interesting for anyone born to a royal family to be like, holy shit. Like Harry. Harry grew up being like, oh my god, I am almost a direct line to the throne. Like I'm just like if my older brother dies at any point before having kids, I'm gonna be king one day. and then to go from that to being like, oh, now I'm mm, mm, sixth, fifth, sixth in line. Peter Phillips. Did you have kids? He has two kids. Who are his children? Personal life. Their first child and the Queen's first great-grandchild, a daughter named Savannah Ann Kathleen, born in December 2010. Savannah Kathleen won't have any kids then because she's 15, or will be 15 this year. And then got another one, another divorced, and then had another kid. So that would be 20th and 21st. If all 21 of those disappeared, it would go to Zara. Queen Zara. Can you imagine that? Queen Zara. That's a cool name. King Ralph. I would hate the responsibility, of becoming queen. Queen Zara Tyndall. What would you all do? That's your question to get you chatting and thinking. What's the first monarch executive order, as it were, that you would do if you found out? Oh, by the way, because of this sort of apocalyptic event that killed 20,000 people, it turns out you are the ruling monarch of the UK, the British Empire. What is left of the British Empire? First thing you do, abdicate. I feel like I'd do something before abdicating. I feel like that's some shit that I'd do. I feel like I'd be able to use that opportunity to be like, right, let's right some wrongs here. Let's put let's get rid of some antiquated laws. I'd probably try and like my last thing that I'd try and do is abolish the monarchy, probably. Queens and kings pick their royal names, so she probably wouldn't go by Zara. That's true. Yeah, that's true. I'd move the main palace to Scotland. Nice. Be like, Buckingham Palace is no longer the home. Let's bring some of that tourism dollars to Scotland, baby. Would you make it Glasgow? Would you make it Glasgow, or would you just take the existing summer house? They've got mansions up in Scotland, don't they? Glen Eagles for the win. If it was UK monarchy, probably ban the paparazzi. Move the government out of London. What for? To what end? Why do you move them out of London? Zara Tyndall, British equestrian. Doesn't even mention that she's royalty in the Google simplification. She was born sixth in line to the throne, becoming 22nd in line as of 2025. Man, she's cute. 22nd in line. Does she have kids? She's got 3 kids, so we got 23rd, 24th, and 25th in line there. 25th in line. Charity work. Tyndall frequently supports and attends events for various charitable causes, revolving around spinal injuries, equestrianism, and children's causes. Sounds like she does some good work for people. Rugby player Mike Tyndall, playing rugby for the England national team. They got 3 kids, all of whom are too young to have their own kids. So what have we got? 23rd, 24th, 25th. We've got 25 right here. Who would now we're getting somewhere because now we've run out of children from the Queen. So now we've got to go back up another generation and come back down from there. Who would be after them then? Prince, and so yeah, it would go back up to Queen Elizabeth. Queen Elizabeth had a younger sister, didn't she? Queen Elizabeth. Queen Elizabeth's sister. QE2 sister, or I'll put siblings. Just Princess Margaret, that was it, Margaret. I wonder if there's any royals that play D&D. I mean, depends what you define as royal, but yeah. What is royal? Like, is it just the family that we've just finished? Those 25, essentially? Is it just those 25 that were um are you still royal if you're descended from like Princess Margaret? Love a chance to walk around York? Do it. I mean, what's stopping you? Health problems for travel, perhaps? York's a very lovely city. I walked around it. Well, city, town. Is York a city? York Cathedral? York Minster? Is Minster enough to make it a city? I can't remember. There used to be rules about what was a town, what was a city, but I don't really know. What would I do if I was suddenly king of the UK? Um, I guess it has to depend on like the circumstances under how I got to become king. If somebody had systematically assassinated every single person before me in the line, um, I I'd probably abdicate immediately as soon as I could because obviously that means they're coming for me next. Um, I would also have to come to terms with the fact that both my brothers and my nibblings are all dead. Uh, um, ignoring all of that, I would. What sort of wrongs could I right as King of England? I don't know. What power does the king even have? Like, what they've always felt to me like they're just like a figurehead, a puppet. Like the government's actually doing everything, and the royal is just kind of an antiquated ornament. Do they actually have power? Do the kings and queens actually do anything? Hmm. If you look for succession to the British throne on Wikipedia, there's a list of 64 of them. Yeah, then I don't get to do the work myself. Go to York, nip over to Whitby, get a lemon top ice cream. Totes recommend. Lemon top ice cream from Whitby. I always associate Whitby with fish and chips. Oh, fish and chips in Whitby. Whitby, fish and chips and Dracula. Those are the two things that I associate with Whitby. Fitby. Health, finances, the usual. I hate being royal because I hate all eyes on me. Lack of privacy. Yeah, that's true. Say you've sorted anything that's going on at the time. It's all calm. What would my first thing that I would want to do? Um, I feel like, let's see, what's the most pressing things to do? I feel like tackling rampant capitalism is probably the most important thing to do because most of the problems stem from that. Not sure how to tackle rampant capitalism though. Use the wealth, the inordinate wealth of the British monarchy to hire assassins to murder billionaires, probably, is what I would do. Which is ironic because I would be then one of the billionaires, most likely. I'm not supposed to have a view on the government and how they run the country. Lemon top, still whippy, topped with a big blob of lemon sorbet. Sounds delicious. Give away most of the money you'd have inherited, probably. But giving away money isn't going to solve capitalism. I'd probably try and use that money to solve capitalism, and then I'd probably end up in this situation where it's like, power corrupts. And I'd be like, I go into it with good intentions, but then I'm like, I don't want to lose my money and my my money and my power because I'm using that to tackle people that are using it wrong, and I'm using it right. And then Monaco has the power to overrule the government, but it is convention that they don't. There would be a very real likelihood of civil war if the crown directly involved itself in government. I mean, Not necessarily a bad thing. Royal family do generate jobs and things in places that wouldn't normally have it. Glen Eagles, the castle, is the main employer. Sure, but I mean, if they didn't exist, those people would have jobs elsewhere. Yeah, there'd be other need for jobs. Need to run, but lovely to write and listen to you and watch you going down the royalty rabbit hole, which might be a band name. Royalty rabbit hole is pretty fun. It's a royalty rabbit hole. Princess Margaret was the youngest daughter of King George and Elizabeth. Blah blah blah. Right. Let's see. Let's see. What whose kids did she have? Princess Margaret. Margaret. Princess Margaret. Children. Catch 22. Yeah, catch 22 of being in a position of power and influence and wealth enough to do something to change that, but then now you're on the side that's benefiting from it. And so that's the problem, isn't it? Like the systems in place, the systems we have in place are created by the people who are benefiting from the systems we have in place. And so changing the systems to benefit the people who aren't currently benefiting is asking the people who are benefiting to no longer benefit from those things. And you're relying on altruism from people who are so far removed and out of touch with reality that they're never going to do that. How much of it's truth because it was in the show The Crown, but Tony Blair apparently wanted to get rid of loads of jobs in the palace to cut costs, and Queen Elizabeth II did research into the random jobs that are only in the palace. Been AFK making breakfast. How many generations did I miss? Generations of people in line to the throne. Is that what you're talking about? I'm still working on it. I'm up to Princess Margaret, up to the Queen's sister. She was patron or president of over 80 organizations. Princess Margaret, also a devoted mother, 2 children from her marriage to Anthony Armstrong Jones survive her. Lord Linley. Ooh, a lord. How do you become a lord? Does he own property? Is that what makes you a lord? Like feudal lords used to be people who just like owned a bunch of property and had a bunch of serfs working for them, right? What was enough to get you the title of lord? Would it have to be granted by a king to get a lord? Because you used to get knighted for sir, and that would have to be the monarch. The monarch would have to knight you to give you the title sir. But why are you lord? Can I just be a lord if I own property? If I own my house, am I a lord? Or do I have to own serfs? The king gives you it as a reward. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. People who are like really good in battle and shit. They're like, hey, have this property and a title. I used to know the answer to that. Lord Linley, born in 1961, and Lady Sarah Chatto, born in 1964. Let's click on Lord Linley, shall we? His name's not even Linley. What the fuck? His name's David Armstrong Jones. What's he called? Lord Linley. David Albert Charles Armstrong Jones, 2nd Earl of Snowdon, styled as Viscount Linley until 2017 and known professionally as David Linley, is a member of the extended British royal family, an English furniture maker, honorary chairman of the auction house Christie's UK, the only son of Anthony Armstrong Jones, 1st Earl of Snowdon, and Princess Margaret, and through his mother a grandson of King George VI and first cousin of King Charles III. When he was born, he was 5th in line to the throne. As of 2025, he is 26th in line to the throne, and the highest who is not a descendant of Queen Elizabeth II, his aunt. I'm a landlord, if that counts. My lord. I saw a reel the other day that was a guy being like, "If I was ever a landlord, I'd make my I'd make my tenants speak to me as if I was a lord, as if I was a landowning lord." Oh my lord, please. He says if they dressed up and role played with me, I'd give them like a 20% discount on their rent. Get a seat in the House of Lords. Oh yes. You have to own a named land. Generally, you are a lord of something. You need to inherit the title, I think. I see. Lord. All right, so then David Linley would become in after 26 people disappear. Uh, he has children. Where is it? Personal life and family. He got married. He and his wife have two children. Charles Patrick Inigo Armstrong Jones. It's just bloody selfish. Leave some names for people, goddammit. Charles Patrick Inigo Armstrong Jones, Viscount Linley, born in 1999. See, here's the thing. I went, oh, born in 1999, he will have kids. And I'm like, oh, wait, no. That means that he is 26. He could definitely have kids. Charles Patrick Inigo Armstrong Jones and Lady Margarita Elizabeth Rose Elaine Armstrong Jones, uh, born in 2002. From 2000 to 2002, Linley, his wife and son, lived at Kensington Palace with his mother, Princess Margaret. In 2002, uh, Linley, along with the Prince of Wales, the Duke of York, and the Earl of Wessex, stood guard at the lying in state of their grandmother, Queen Elizabeth. The Vigil of the Princes had taken place only once before during the lying in state of George V. In October 2007, rumours circulated suggesting a member of the British royal family was the victim of blackmail. Linley's daughter was a bridesmaid at the wedding of Prince William and Catherine Middleton. Blah, blah, blah. All right, so he's got a son who could have kids. Charles Patrick Inigo Armstrong Jones. Does he not have a Wikipedia? Are we finally far enough away that he doesn't have a Wikipedia page of his own? Charles Armstrong Jones, 25 years old, known as Viscount Linley, the only one of Princess Margaret's grandchildren to have a title. He inherited the title upon the death of his grandfather, Anthony Armstrong Jones. One day, Charles will be the third Earl of Snowdon, inheriting the title when his father, David, dies. Doesn't seem like he has kids. He also doesn't seem to have a Wikipedia page, which is very weird. Surely he has a Wikipedia page. Why is it not coming up? He's like, I've got a fucking wiki. Well, I don't. But I've got the Viva La Dirt League have a Wikipedia page, and I don't yet, but could easily have a Wikipedia page. This guy is the fucking second Earl of Snowdon's son. He should have a Wikipedia page. Why is it not coming up? That's weird. You can be a lord of multiple regions, but would use the name of the most prestigious one. Historically, titles passed down through families, but 1999 House of Lords Act limited hereditary peers' rights to pass membership down through family. Oh, okay, so what happens now? Somebody dies and the kids don't become the lord? I got some lords and knights way back in my lines. I mean, yeah, of course, you're descended from the wives of Henry VIII. I'm Henry VIII, I am. Some lords and knights way back in my lines. Should look those up and see if any of them are available. Take it. You want to take a lady? Lady Tara. I wish I had more names. My middle name's a Ride. Rose. Rose. Mm-mm. Create a Wikipedia page and see if the mods will let you add it. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I could have a Wikipedia page. I'm an actor. I've been in things. I've got my own YouTube channel that's doing well. My own Twitch channel. One of the better dungeon masters in the world. Surely I should be able to have my own Wikipedia page. I bet, I bet the McElroys and Brennan Lee Mulligan and Matt Mercer and Bria Iyengar, I bet they all got their own Wikipedia pages, haven't they? I got a knighthood that passed down to sons in the line of like 12 generations. No data listed for their female relatives that I've ever found, of course. I made one for Robbie years ago and no, what's that? Boo. Boo. We'll try again. We'll try again sometime. We'll try again when I'm more famous. Alright. Lady Margarita Armstrong Jones. She's cute. 22 years old. May 2002 born. She got daughters, sons. I doubt it at 22. No kids. She's 28th in line to the throne. Alright, so then we're out of kids for this guy. So we go back, and we go into Lady Sarah Chatto. Lady Sarah Chatto. It was to try and fix Google saying that Robert died. Need to fix that. That's going to be a running joke forever. Lady Sarah Chatto, 60 years old. Member of the British royal family, the only daughter of Princess Margaret. Blah, blah, blah. She is 29th in line for the throne. Does not undertake public duties. Frequently attends events and ceremonies with the wider royal family. She's got 2 children. 2 children. We'll have 2 sons. Samuel David Chatto, born in 1996, 30th in line of succession. Studied at Eton, works as a sculptor. Completed yoga teacher training in India. And then Arthur Robert Chatto, born in 1999, 31st in line to the succession, which tells me that Samuel didn't have kids yet. Arthur, 31st in line, former page of honour, Elizabeth II, his great aunt. His grand aunt, technically. Studied geography at the University of Edinburgh and at the same time worked as a personal trainer. Imagine that. A personal trainer was 31st in line to the throne. A grand nephew to Queen Elizabeth. Alright, no kids there then, so we're up to 31st, and that's all of Lady Chatto's kids, which means you have to go back up, and that's all of their kids, so we have to go back up to Princess Margaret, and she didn't have any other siblings, so we have to go back up another generation to George the Sixth. Alright, at this point, I'm going to just go to the Wikipedia article. Wikipedia. Succession to the UK throne. Succession to the British throne. Wikipedia. Rob's a lich confirmed. Yeah. I kissed a lich. I kissed a lich and I like it. I've almost saved up enough copper on Twitch to cash it in for a wouldn't that be cool character. How do I do that? How do you do it? You do it in the same way that you cash in anything on Twitch. So you click on the little symbols of the stacks of copper coins, and then you click on the thing you want to redeem, and you type in whatever it is that you're trying to redeem. Wouldn't that be cool? Has to fit into the box, the dialog box given, and then you submit. All right, let's have a look at this article. Succession to the British throne determined by descent, sex, legitimacy, and religion. Oh, religion as well comes into it. If you denounce the Church of England, I guess. I guess it would be, wouldn't it? With the Church of England, isn't it? King and Queen of the head of the Church of England. I think. So if you denounce that, if you're an atheist or a Muslim or something, you or even just a Catholic or something, then you wouldn't become king. Well, that's interesting. So I wouldn't be able to become king. If 200,000 people die before me, and they and then and I was to become king, they'd be like, yeah, but he's an outspoken atheist, so he's not. Can redeem them when Rob's live. Yeah, when I go live on Twitch next, if you can come to the stream, you can click on the little copper pieces and redeem your points that way. My names actually have meanings. Uta was an ancient German goddess, means the rich, and my second name, Gerlin, means limewood spear. The rich limewood spear. Cool. Robert means bright, apparently. It's a German name, comes from a German word, Robert. And Hartley means field of deer. A lee is a field, and a hart is like a stag. How likely is it to get into your story soon? Not at all. It is up to my discretion as to when to put it in, and where to put it in, and why to put it in, and even to put it in at all. It enters my list, and I go, cool. If it is something that I can add into the list, then I will do so. Basically, if the more generic you make it, the more boring it is for you, but the more likely it is that I find somewhere that I can fit it in. The more specific and crazy and weird it is, then cool, you get a real boost of hell yeah, I made that when it comes up. The chances of me being able to find somewhere where it fits is less, isn't it? There are some things on my wouldn't that be cool list that have been there for literally years now, and I have no no plans to put them in anywhere because they just don't fit anywhere. I'm like, cool, I'll eventually come across something in a story, maybe when you move to a completely different continent. I'm like, cool, I guess maybe I'll find somewhere that this can fit sometime. But at the same time, a lot of Twitch Tales is riddled with like things that people have redeemed. So Raya was a redeem. Um, uh, uh, Spear was a redeem. Uh, Apus the Goblin was a redeem. Um, Nim, Nim and Nim's necklaces was a redeem. I don't know what else we got. There was like a pie cow bun. They were redeemed. Um, there was a tabaxi like weaponsmith that makes special weapons out of uh, weird ingredients and stuff, and I included that, and then Apis chose not to explore it because they were busy with other shit. That was a redeem. The the demon Yugoloth thing that sort of assisted as enemy of my enemy sort of style in the latest season. That was redeem. Uh, yeah, someone redeemed an ancient dragon soon. It's not not likely to crop up soon. Yes. Redeem. Marie did a redeem for a spring attendant. Yeah, that was redeemed. That is in the no clue when we'll ever see it. You have technically heard of it already. There is a an onsen in Shadridge. You just didn't go into it. Yeah, you did see it. You went to Shadridge, and I mentioned the fact that there's a new bathhouse opened up in Shadridge. You just haven't used it, and so you didn't see them. Um, yeah, so there's quite a lot of redeems in Twitch Tales so far, but I always look at the list and go, can any of these fit in without it feeling like I've shoehorned it in and it's going to distract from the story? Succession to the British throne. Under common law, the crown is inherited by a sovereign's children or by a childless sovereign's nearest collateral line. What is a collateral line? A collateral descendant is a legal term for a relative descended from a sibling or an ancestor, and thus a niece, nephew, aunt, uncle, or cousin. You are my collateral descendants. Hmm. The Bill of Rights and the Act of Settlement restrict succession to the throne to the legitimate Protestant descendants of Sophia of Hanover. who are in communion with the Church of England. There you are. So you have to be in communion with the Church of England to even be considered. Spouses of Catholics were disqualified until the law was amended in 2015. I wonder why they needed to amend that law. Protestant descendants of those excluded for being Roman Catholics are eligible. So people who were previously excluded for being Roman Catholic have now, after the fact, been re-included, as long as you are a Protestant still. You have to still be a Protestant, but you can have been, you can be a Protestant. Protestant is a difficult word to say. You can be a Protestant descendant of a Roman Catholic and still be eligible for the throne. It would be weird to have an atheist king, isn't it? Given that the entire premise is like, oh, I've been chosen, my whole lineage has been chosen by God. But I also don't believe in God. I believe in the lineage of the monarchy, at least. One of the parties in the Travis. Oh yeah, the entire party in the Travis fight, the entire party of misfits or whatever we called them, they were all redeems. That was a way of me going, I can't fit these fuckers into the story anywhere, but I want to because they're really cool. There's like some cool concepts here, but they're just not going to fit in. I'm going to chuck them all together in a band of adventurers and have them be a peripheral party that's just helping in the war. And the religious element is questioned every time it comes up. UK's trending non-religious now. That's good. New Zealand just tipped over in the last census. New Zealand tipped over the 50% atheist mark. Opposite 50% non-religious, I think. A whole branch of religion exists so an asshole could divorce his wife. Yeah, basically. Yeah. So Charles did have some other religions represented at his coronation, at least. Oh, cool. King Charles has been the sovereign since 22. His heir apparent is his eldest son, William. William's three children are next in order of birth: George, Charlotte, Louis. Fifth is Harry. Sixth is Archie. Under the Perth Agreement, which came into effect in 2015, only the first six in line of succession require the sovereign's consent before they marry. Without such consent, they and their children would be disqualified from succession. Holy shit. I didn't know that bit. So Prince Archie, still would require the consent of the king before getting married. Otherwise, he excludes himself from being in line of succession. They changed how they asked that question in the census, so Christian wasn't the top answer to see if it made a difference, and it did. People just been like, yeah, Christian, whatever. The United Kingdom is one of the Commonwealth realms, which are sovereign states that share the same person as monarch and the same order of succession. How did we get onto this stuff? I don't remember. Current line of succession. No official, complete version of the line of succession is maintained. The exact number, in more remote collateral lines, of the people who would be eligible is uncertain. In 2001, American genealogist William Adams Reitweisner compiled a list of 4,973 living descendants of Electress Sophia of Hanover, in order of succession, without omitting Roman Catholics. When updated in January 2011, the list included 5,753. Final person in both lists, number 4973 and 5753, was Karen Vogel, born 1973, a therapist from Rostock, Germany. Karen Vogel. Who is Sophia of Hanover, and why is she the person that we're descending from? Sophia from Hanover is 1630 to 1714, an electress from Hanover, the consort of Prince Elector Ernest Augustus, later the heiress presumptive to the thrones of England and Scotland, a granddaughter of King James the Sixth and First. What? Granddaughter of King James the Sixth and First. How does what? How does that work? Oh, because he's James he's the sixth of this and yeah, sixth of England, first of um, first of Scotland. It might be partially my fault. We went down a royalty rabbit hole. Royalty rabbit hole. Imagine being famous for being last. Imagine being that Karen Vogel person and being contacted to be like, "Hey, you are 5,753rd in line to the throne." Started with just talking about general genealogy. Yeah, I was talking about my granddad's family tree, right? Oh, and then you said that you were descended from the Henry VIII's wives. I don't understand why she is. Why are we using this woman as the? I'm sure I could actually get an answer if I cared enough. Um, mm, 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 mm. The annotated list below covers the first part of this line of succession, being limited to descendants of the sons of King George V, King Charles's great grandfather. That's an interesting thing I've always thought of as well. Of like, if you were in the royal family, your family tree is already done for you. Like you like I was like, oh, I grew up and thinking like, oh, isn't genealogy interesting and isn't family trees interesting? And so I had to put work into like looking it up and asking old people who their family members were and stuff. But if you're born to the if you're born to the royal family, you're just like, oh, I can trace my lineage back with historical records like all the way to 1066 and possibly before that. I don't know. If it was me, I'd have that on a mug. Fuck yeah. Just a drinking from a mug being like, I'm 5,793rd in line to the throne. You have to change it every time. Put it on your dating profile, swipe right. I'm technically within 6,000 of the royal family. I hit Catherine Howard and then holy cow, the amount of data just exploded. A lot of work. Yeah. People named in italics are unnumbered, either because they're deceased or because sources report them to be excluded from succession. All right, starting with King George V, then Edward VIII, then King George VI, then Queen Elizabeth II, then King Charles III. Then we've got William, George, Charlotte, Louis, Harry, Archie, Lilibet, Andrew, Beatrice, Sienna, Athena, Eugenie, August, Ernest, Edward, James, Lady Louise, Anne, Peter Phillips, Savannah Phillips, Isla Phillips, Isla Phillips, Zara Tyndall, Mia Tyndall, Lena Tyndall, Lucas Tyndall. And then we're on to Princess Margaret, David Armstrong Jones, Charles Armstrong Jones, Lady Margarita, Lady Sarah, Samuel and Arthur. And then we go all the way back up. This is where I stopped bothering with it because this is now King George's second son, no, third son. So Edward was first, George was second. This would be Henry. Prince Henry would then be next, but he's dead. So we go to his son, Prince Richard. Prince Richard, then Alexander Windsor. Zan Windsor with an X, X-A-N. I presume maybe it's short for Xander. Gotta go now, no worries, Chief. I should probably go as well, actually. It's past time now. We were always told my great grandma was a member of the Danish royal family. That's cool. Danish royal family. Lady Cosima Windsor, Lady Davina Windsor, Senna Lewis, Tane Lewis, Tane. These are cool names. Senna and Tane. Lady Rose Gilman, Lila Gilman, Rufus Gilman, And then we out of people descended from there, so we go all the way back up again and back down to Prince George, Duke of Kent. Wait a minute. So Prince George, Duke of Kent, had an older brother. His oldest brother was King Edward. His second oldest brother was King George the Sixth. So imagine being called George, and King George the Sixth. What was his real name? Albert Frederick Arthur George. So your older brother Albert becomes king when your oldest brother Edward, he actually wasn't Edward and just kept Edward when he became king. So you've got an oldest brother Edward. Your second oldest brother Albert becomes king when Edward abdicates, and he takes your name. He's like, "I'll be King George," and you're like, "Oh fuck, dude, my name's George. You want to leave it for me?" Ah, you're never gonna become king. I'm gonna have kids. I'm gonna have two daughters. Never gonna become the entire line. Like, Crick, use your own fucking name. Albert's not like it's a bad name. King Albert. You'll be the first one. Why would you be fucking George the Sixth? You're gonna just get ignored and forgotten about in history because people are gonna be like, which one was the George? George the Seventh, George the Sixth, George the Fourth? I don't remember. Just be King Albert the First. Look, that's how I'd feel anyway. Prince George, Duke of Kent. He had Prince Edward. Somebody get these fuckers a baby book. Get them a baby name book for fuck's sake. There's more than 6 names. George, Henry, Edward, Charles. When my granddad died, we found out actually she was Swedish, but still part of the royal somewhere. Went to school in Denmark. Oh, cool. Swedish royal family. The Danish queen is an Aussie girl. How does that work? You don't have to be Danish to be the queen. My son is the firstborn in 5 generations. And okay, first in a long line to have more than 2 kids. I was like the firstborn in 5 generations? I don't think that works. He's the first boy born in 5 generations. And my brother had a similar situation in reverse with his daughter. She was the first Hartley daughter in, what was it, 4 or 5 generations. I think there was a reason he didn't go with Albert, Prince Albert. Hey, is he the Albert that Prince Albert is named after, or is that a different Prince Albert? Danish Queen's marriage to the Danish King. Ah, I see. Gotcha. He's not actually the Queen. There's a different name for that in the Queen Monarch or something else. Like if you're the Queen because you're the monarch or because you're married to the King. Being King Queen these days is boring compared to the past. Too little worship and executions. No idea how many Marys and Sarahs and Elizabeths have had to date for. Queen Consort, yeah. There we go. I was in an antique shop the other day and they had Prince Albert in a can. The amount of King Roberts, though, and James. King Robert's good. Robert's a good name. Edward George Windsor, Edward Windsor, Marina Windsor, Lady Amelia Windsor, Nicholas Windsor, Albert Windsor, Leopold Windsor, Louis Windsor, Lady Helen Taylor, Columbus, cool name, Cassius, Eloise Estella, Michael, Frederick, Maud, Isabella, Gabriella, Princess Alexandra, the Honourable Lady Ogilvy, and then finally all the way down to Alexander, Flora, Marina, Christian, and Venuska, the 64th in line to the throne, who is descended from the youngest son of King Charles, King George the Fifth, the youngest of the youngest of the youngest of King George the Fifth, is Zanuska Mowat. Zanuska Mowat, born 1990. Zanuska is a cool name. I don't even know if that's a male or female name or other. Zanuska, King Zanuska, Queen Zanuska. I am Queen Zanuska Mowat. I wonder why the Wikipedia stops there. Like, surely they could go back up to King George and see, like, if Zanuka didn't make it, who would be after King George the Fifth? Surely King George the Fifth had siblings. Anyway, we should leave it there. I've got to get over to my nephew's place now. We're going to play some Dungeons and Dragons one last time before I leave for Perth. Maybe some Catan, maybe some Ticket to Ride, maybe some Zelda. He's big on Zelda as Logan. Mm. Went to an antique shop, but they wouldn't let Prince Albert out of the can. I guess it was lucky my great niece is spending the night. She's one. I was awake for the chat. That's a thought. If the sovereign was non-binary, what would happen to the title? King, queen, queeb? I don't think queeb. Queen, queen, but with a K. Keen, quing. I'll be quing. Quing, quing, Alec. Clean. Keening. Non-binary sovereign title. Non-gendered sovereign title. Let's look that up, and then that'll be the last thing I do today. Non-gendered sovereign title. Come on. For non-gendered sovereign title, you could consider using the sovereign, the monarch, or your majesty. Sovereign. This has more to do with the divine and the mortal coming together in the sovereign, rather than it does with gender or gender identification. So you could go with sovereign. I am sovereign Hartley. I'm sovereign. It's Yas Queen. Yas Queen, Your Majesty. Yas Queen Alex. That's very funny. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining me for this just general chill hangout. I do like these charisma checks because I can just chill. I can hang out. We can talk about whatever we want to talk about. Follow our smiles. Do a little Wikipedia rabbit hole diving. It's always fun. I used to like doing that quite often. Just find myself researching just stupid stuff on Wikipedia and learning things. Don't give myself time to do things like that anymore. So I like these little streams for that. Pharaoh, yeah, Pharaoh. Pharaoh. Imagine that if you became king and you were just like, you know what? My first rule is that I'm going to change my name from king to. I can choose my name, right? And they're like, yeah, you can choose your name if you don't want to be Robert. And I was like, no, 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 no. I want to be Robert. I want to be king. Pharaoh. Pharaoh Robert. The first Pharaoh of England. People would be like, pretty sure that's cultural appropriation, bro. I'd be like, that is entirely accurate. All right, I'm gonna head over to my nephew's now. Well, I'm gonna get some breakfast. I'm gonna get some breakfast, take my meds, and then pick my bags and head over to my nephew's place. I'll play some games for my nephew and then leave for Manchester Airport, mate. And then I'm flying back to Perth. I'm gonna spend the best part of a day on a plane. Hopefully, I can get tired. That wouldn't be appropriate for Britain. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I'm a Brit. Hey, we found it. You just reminded me, Fancy. This is my first rule as monarch. When I get elected King of England, when 20,000 other people die, it would probably have to be more than that. Now that I've just realised that they've already mapped it out to 6,000. Don't know that I'm on that list, but when I become King of England, I make a monarchy decision. I make the monarch decision to return all of the stolen bullshit in the British National Museum and say, like, hey, that goes back to everybody. We've been done looking at them now. Thanks for letting us borrow them for a while. We made some good money off of making people look at it and reading plaques about how important it was to your people. Now you can have them back. We will make replicas. We'll put them in molds and make replicas that we can look at and put those in the British Museum. and then you can have your actual shit back. And then I would abdicate. Thanks for being here, everybody. Thanks for the support for March. The next exclusive charisma check, the next private charisma check for Patreon and YouTube members will be early in April. Normally, I like to do them at the end of the month because I've got a whole month to recap and talk about if I need to. But um, uh, I've got a very busy end of April with the filming of the Viva la Dirt League stuff. So the next one is only in like 10 days or something. It's going to be early to mid April for the next one. Keep an eye on Patreon for when you see the announcements and such. Bye. Have good days.